Hey guys, Alex here, and I'm out in the garage working on this new rammed earth tabletop. I'll give you a sneak peek here. So I'm not really talking about that today, but I will be soon. But what I want to tell you today is a little story about a lesson that I've learned from building, and that important lesson for me is to never cut corners if possible. So one story I like to tell that really kind of brought this home to me was when I got started with earth and construction and doing workshops for people. One of the first workshops I did was in East Tennessee. It was at a really beautiful place called Meadow Creek Ranch, and we did a series of workshops there, but the way that it went was unfortunate, and that's what I'm getting to. So what happened was, the first workshop I showed up, and they had basically dug a hole in the ground where this structure was going to go. So there was a guy who they were going to build this structure for. He was a temporary worker there, and he had this design idea in his mind that he wanted a house that was about half submerged into the ground. So kind of like at eye level, you'd be able to look out the window and you'd be sort of at the ground level. So anyway, they dug this hole, and they didn't follow through with the recommendations. At least this guy didn't. And he ended up leaving the night before that I arrived. He sort of just snuck out apparently and disappeared, him and his girlfriend, and they were, I guess, never heard from again. So anyway, we were kind of left with this hole and all these building materials placed in this hole, which were supposed to be ready for construction in 2 days for the upcoming first workshop. So there's a lot of challenges with trying to do a design like that in the first place. I wouldn't really encourage it unless you really know what you're doing and really want to put in the investment to do such a thing. So that was back a long time ago. I probably would have been more straightforward with them about trying to attempt such a design, but that's kind of beside the point here. Anyway, they had all the stuff down the hole, and so we decided, okay, we need to get this stuff out of here, get it reset up at a new site, which wasn't far, luckily. So we basically spent the next 2 days, I guess, just hustling it, trying to get all these things out and moved. So basically what we did was we dug a new rubble trench foundation. We put the gravel in, we put the drainage pipe, everything was good. Now the only problem with all this scenario was the foundation material, and so they wanted to save money. So what they had were polypropylene bags, and this is like what you use to construct an earth bag house or a super adobe building. If you've never seen them, they're the white sort of plastic bags. They're pretty tough as far as bags go, but I don't recommend them for foundations 90% of the time. There's certain times you can use them where it makes sense. With the whole super adobe system, it makes sense. Certain climates, arid climates, it makes more sense. But in general, I don't recommend using the polypropylene bags for foundation work. So anyway, that's what they had. And even worse, these bags were just filled with dirt. So they didn't have gravel to put in these bags. What they really should have done at least was have gravel filled in these bags for the foundation. And I think that's pretty standard for any kind of earth bag super adobe structure as well. So let's see, we got everything out of the hole. We dug a new foundation at the other site. and we stacked these bags up, filled them with dirt, stacked them, tamped them, and everything was in place and ready to go for the workshop. So we had a great workshop. Everyone had a great time, learned a lot. It was a great experience for everybody. But that foundation, the clock was ticking on that thing. So by the time we came for the second workshop, we looked at it and I could tell already this thing wasn't going to last. And so we went through with the second workshop, and then by the third workshop, you could see this thing, the bags were crumbling, the dirt was coming out of the sides, just from a lot of different factors. Maybe people poke the bags, the sun will actually do damage to these bags over time and they'll deteriorate. So after the third workshop, we decided we had to scrap this project. So all the work that was done in those 3 workshops was really for nothing, at least for the hosts at Meadow Creek Mountain Ranch. So that was an unfortunate experience for a lot of people. And for me, it taught me the lesson that it's just never a good idea to try to cut corners, even if you can save money sometimes. Now, it wasn't my decision to use the earth bags, but that really showed me the reality of it. And so I've been really strict on foundation construction since that time, and that's one reason why I stressed so much to put a lot of investment, work, and time into your foundation, because that's the thing that's going to hold up your whole building. You can build a beautiful building on an unstable foundation like these earth bags, but if the foundation is going to crumble underneath it, it doesn't matter how good that structure is going to be above. It's going to come down. Now, the way I look at buildings and construction, a building is like a holistic system. Every piece needs to link together in a holistic manner, because if you have one weak link in that chain or that structure, the whole thing can have problems. So I stress high quality in whatever I'm trying to do, and I really just try to stress it in the whole natural building community, because there's a lot of low quality buildings out there which have their place, and it's all kind of a developing learning system for us all. We've been kind of developing these building systems, and I understand it takes experimentation and trying different things, but I think we need to come to the point now to where we can build stuff of higher quality to show the mainstream what's possible, because the mainstream is not going to look at some crumbling shack and go, oh yeah, I want one of those. They want to see high quality and something that they could imagine themselves living in, being in, and working in, for example. So I stress high quality in my work, and that's what I'm trying to portray through this channel as much as I can. I'm not an expert at everything, obviously, but trying to improve my skills all the time, and I'm trying to impart some of my lessons through my hard lessons. So anyway, that's basically the gist of the story, and I'll just throw a plug out here too, because I've got all this information online. If you want to learn more about how to build high quality cob, rammed earth, straw bale, light straw clay, conventional construction, any kind of building in general, I have courses online. I'll leave a link below in the description, and they're basically going to take you through understanding these concepts and principles and why it's so important to really put the thought and the planning into building any kind of structure. It's not about just throwing something together and slapping it up. I mean, building a building takes so much thought and planning. There's so many different aspects you need to think of. And so that's the kind of thing I cover in my course, which applies to building almost anything. So I have over 16 hours of video lessons, and these are lessons that are not on YouTube. So if you want to get those, they're all bundled together. I'll leave a link below. You can get those. Covers everything from building strong, robust foundations, site selection, how to do pretty much every aspect. And so if you can't make it to a workshop this spring or summer, that's a good alternative as well. And it'll save you a whole lot of money and a whole lot of time. So anyway, I don't want to make this whole video a plug for my product, but that is out there. And keep in mind, just try to build quality, sort of the whole quality over quantity, or quality over just building it as fast or as cheap as possible. So anyway, that's just sort of off the top of my head what I was thinking. Be safe out there. Keep working at your craft, building with your skills, whatever. Be safe, and I'll talk to you in the next video.